Hello, everyone. Welcome to Qobuz Live. It's been quite some time, but we're going to start this video series back up. With me as your host on this particular portion, which has really got to do mostly with hi-fi, but there's going to be a lot of Qobuz information presented, and I hope to take your questions. If you've got any, there's a little chat feature. Please feel free to uh, pop in, make comments, ask questions. You can even throw in some insults if you would like. So, gosh, let's kick this show off. We've got so much going on, so much planned, and so much we've gotten accomplished in the last few years. There's all kinds of new features on Qobuz, and recently, within the last, gosh, I guess it's been maybe a couple of months now, we've launched DSD and DXD on our download store. So now you can support the artists even better. And really, we're giving people more of a reason to download now than ever before, because you can't stream DSD or DSD. It's at least for us right now, it's a little big, and it's not even really something that we're thinking about. We're more going, look, we know why you're here. You're here for the best music quality you can get. Well, DSD and DXD is that, and we've got tons of it on the store. Now, listen, if you're going to be buying a lot of DSD or DSC or even downloads in general, my highest suggestion is bite the bullet and become a Sublime member. If you're a Sublime member, your discounts on music, especially if you buy, like, say, an album or two per month, even that low of a download schedule, it's going to end up paying for the subscription anyway, just in savings. If you're a really big downloader, uh, uh, definitely get it, because it's going to pay for itself over and over and over again. So while normal people, or just say people that have got a standard Qobuz subscription for 1088 a month or whatnot, we can still all download, but let's say we go to a page and the new DSD album is, say, $35. I'm going to probably be getting that for 15 or 17 or 10. So as you could see, it's going to be not very long that you can save a lot of money. So with this new feature, I get a comp account, which is great, and I've appreciated it. It's like every time I turn on Qobuz, I still have to pinch myself going, I still can't believe that we've got this much lossless information that we can just access at the touch of a button. Well, now, that's turned into DSD. So even me, I get the service for free because I work for Qobuz, but nobody gets Sublime for free. Nobody that works here, none of our partners, nothing like that. So I started looking at the DSD labels and albums that I wanted to download. And all of a sudden I started going, this is crazy. So I, popped in for the $160 a year, and I've already saved, I don't know, $400 or $500 just on the DSD downloads that I'm getting now. So really, really exciting news on that front. On another front, more high quality music is becoming available to us. We've had Lynn for quite some time, but now they've closed their download store, and everything that was Lynn is now Qobuz. So if you're into this incredible label, Lynn makes some of the best recordings that you can get. They always have. It's part of their DNA. But you can get Lynn recordings now on the download store, and we've got their whole catalog to listen to in high resolution as well, which is really cool. So what else has been going on with Qobuz? Man, these guys have been so busy in France. Our product team has done such a great job. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but all of the search engines are much, much better these days. So it's a lot easier to find things that are missing and whatnot. And then also in the app, because we've always said, oh, if we don't have something and you really want it, just, here's a link to a form that you can fill out. Well, now you open up your mobile app and right there it says missing information. You can go, bam, this is what's missing, and you'll give the label and the missing information, and then our folks hop on it and do their best to try to get it. I don't know if you've realized this or not, but we've really kind of caught up with almost everybody these days. People that were that tried Qobuz 3 or 4 years ago, you'll probably still hear some of those guys go, well, it really sounds good, but the catalog just isn't where it needs to be. Well, guess what? The catalog is where it needs to be. We're missing a few things, but we've gone from, since we started, well, let's see, it was almost 6 years ago in the US. It was 6 years ago in the US. We had, I don't know, maybe 30 million tracks. We're up to 100, over 100 million, about 110. That's the same as all the other services, which is something that I've said for a long time, that eventually most of the streaming services are going to kind of catch up with each other. Even still today, we have things that Apple or Tidal doesn't have. Tidal may have something that we don't have, but more and more, it's more homogenized. That if you want a piece of music, you just kind of go there, and it's likely going to be there these days. Let's see, we've got a few comments. I'll try to get to those. I'm doing a lot on this show, so please bear with me for a sec. Jan, looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us, Jan. Bill K, greetings from your friends at Home Audio. Love that place. That's a wonderful place in Chicago, or right outside of Chicago. Ted, will this be rebroadcast available? I think so. I think they're going to have the rebroadcast available on YouTube. We'll have to ask our leader, Jane, but she'll let us know. Let's see. Is there anything you can chat? Roadmap for Qobuz. Yeah. We're going to be talking some about roadmap. We're not going to take too much of your time, but I think we're going to be talking about the most important part of the roadmap. Features and changes. Yeah. Hi from Canada. Hi, Robert. How are you? Thanks for joining us. And if you're listening to this later on, hope you enjoy it and get a lot out of it. So we've talked about the new DSD. We've talked about we're up to 110 million. We've talked about Lin Records. So we do have a lot going on. The most exciting thing to me that's going on now is the beta for Qobuz Connect. I'm on that right now, and it is so much fun. There's still a few bugs. There's going to be. So we'll let you know exactly when we're going to launch it. We were planning on actually launching it next month. But we'll see how that goes, because we really want your experience to be the very best experience it can possibly be. And my guys in the product team they love Qobuz as much or more than you do. They'll put this thing out as soon as it's like all the bugs are done, and I can call these guys and go, yeah, there's no bugs. And the 500 or so members that say, hey, there's no bugs. But if you have been one of the ones that, and I've talked to a few people like that, because we were limiting it to begin with. But if you want to be part of the beta, Jane has just listed on the chat section over here a link you can go to fill out a form to become part of the beta program. And we would love to have you on, and I've been having a fantastic time with it. I've got it I'm using it with Wim, the big Wim, the Wim Pro or whatever, with the remote control. Wim Pro Plus, I think it is. And it's just working fantastic. It's been something that I've always wanted to do. But with Connect, it's like all of the streaming, all of the streamers, they've pretty much all got their own UI, but they're not as good as any of the actual streaming services, because that is the source. Same goes with us. So when you start looking at Connect, let's see if I can just show you what it looks like for me when I'm casting now. Let's see, you see Qobuz here, right? So this is the beta version of Qobuz, and of course it looks pretty much like regular Qobuz. But if I look down here to my left, to the right bottom, you'll see a little volume control, or a little icon. You pop on that little icon, and it shows you all of the different places that you can cast to. If you look right down here, you've got Wim Pro that I could Google cast to if I want to, but I don't want to do that. It's not nearly as stable. I want to do the Qobuz cast. So now once I hit the Qobuz Connect, then everything that I play from Qobuz is going to be in full resolution, exactly like it would be if you were just using the streamer's own UI. Except the streamer's own UI can't match our UI. There's no way you get this much information on any streamer. They would basically have to match our app, and that's just absolutely not going to happen. They can match some things to it, but there's no way they're getting all of these features that we've got into Connect here, because here you're going to be able to look at the discovery just like you've always done and see what's tailored for you, the Qobuz playlist, tastes of Qobuz. You'll see all the stuff that you typically see, but now on your app, the thing that's controlling it, you're going to be able to see the magazine, which is just like way cool, and it's all about music lovers on this magazine. Which, as you know, that's why Qobuz exists. We're not some big corporate entity. In fact, we're the only one that's not a corporate entity. Shows all of your playlists, and now you can sort your playlist in kind of any way you want to. You can go personal order, and you can just put them in any order that you want to put them in. Last updated, which is the way I do it a lot. But because I have so many playlists, a lot of times I'll just do it in alphabetical order, because I've literally got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of playlists on my thing. This shows you all of your favorites. And again, you can sort by date added, albums, or artists. So there's a lot of new cool stuff on Qobuz, but mainly the big one is Connect. So be looking for that soon. I know it's been a long time. If I had anything that I could do over in my life, in my career with Qobuz, it would have been to just quell my excitement about Connect. Because as soon as we heard about it, I started telling a few people, "Oh, guess what? We're going to have Connect." And, "Oh, guess what? We're going to have Connect." And all of a sudden, people are calling me up, going, "You said you were going to have Connect." I'm going, "Hey, we're working on it." So we have been working nonstop on Connect. We're doing it all internally, and our product guys are just so dedicated. So be looking for the announcement on Connect, but know that we are working on it, and know that it's working pretty good right now, just kind of out of the gate. But we're reporting all kinds of little things that are happening. So if you get on the Qobuz beta program with Connect, you can help us out, and we can all become a team. It's kind of like Kroger getting you to do your own checkout at the cashier as a cashier without paying you. So hey, become free Qobuz employees. We appreciate it, and I think you'll have a real good time doing it too. So let's talk a little bit about the whole show is really supposed to be about hi-fi. I mean, that's really why we exist. It's like if there wasn't good hi-fi, there would really honestly be no reason for Qobuz to exist. So based on this, we thought early on, Dan and I were talking early on and going like, what's one of the best ways that we can support the industry, the music lovers in the industry, because most of the music lovers in the industry, at least that have Qobuz, have got at least a halfway decent system. A lot of you are slowly upgrading. Some of you have got over the top systems, but yeah, you go like, where do you go to see, great gear? Because I got to tell you, it's really tough to buy gear online that you haven't heard, especially speakers, because they do just sound so different. And some of them are going to really appeal to you. Some are not going to appeal to you at all. But the one thing you don't probably want to do is pick out speakers based on the way they look, because that's really going to tell you nothing. So how do you listen to speakers these days? The first way is find a good dealer. I mean, there are some absolute wonderful dealers. Every city in the United States that I can think of has got at least one or two spots that you could go to really experience. And when you do, bring some of your own music, or ask them to play some of your own music. Ask them to let you know what the speakers or the system will do, but certainly put on some things that you're familiar with. And it's like, does this make me happy? And if it does, you're kind of in the right direction. So that's one great place to go. Another great place to go, and I wish this was available when I was younger, because I would have been, I'm telling you, I would have been at every single one of them, because I am a huge fan of hi-fi. I love great gear. I love great sounding gear. I am an audiophile, but I'll tell you the way that I'm going to define audiophile, because it's different than most. It's not trying to get the most expensive equipment that you can get. It's getting the equipment at least up to a level that the recordings sound like music. So I am an audiophile, but the reason that I'm an audiophile is because I like instruments to sound like what they are. When you play an acoustic guitar through a pair of speakers, I want it to sound like an acoustic guitar, right? When you play a stand-up bass, I want it to sound like a stand-up bass. Horns, I want it to sound like horns. I want it to sound as truthful as it possibly can to the tone. And then if I can possibly suspend reality, which the very best systems, absolutely every one of them do this to one degree or another, I want to close my eyes and I want to imagine the band out there. That's what I would love to do with every single recording. It is not my absolute number one thing. My number one thing is I got to love the music. So you'll often hear me play things like Edgar Winter White Trash, which is maybe the worst recording that has ever been. And I don't care if they put it in 32 364 DSD, it's still going to sound bad because it's just a bad recording. So that's really kind of the main reason. But when I'm on a good recording, I want music to sound like music. And that's what the high end does. And the high end doesn't have to be crazy expensive. There's some crazy stuff out there. But it doesn't have to be crazy expensive. There's some absolute wonderful stuff out there. But if you're looking for good gear, there's a lot of shows that are going on around the United States these days. And I think it's about as many as you could possibly have. So even if you're like a state away, these things are typically 2 or 3 days. And I want to just tell you about a few that we do. We sponsor as many shows as we possibly can sponsor, because we want to be with these people. We want to be with the shows. We want to be with the manufacturers, and mainly we want to be with customers all the time. So my main role when we go to the shows is I get to go into all of these unbelievable hi-fi setups, and almost every time I do, whoever owns the room, almost every one of them look at me and go, "Hey, Dave, you want to do a flash DJ session?" And I can't think of a time that I haven't taken up the offer, but we always have a great time doing it. So the first show for us this year were actually 3 simultaneous shows. I usually do all 3 of them, but there was no way for me to do it, so I had to call my team. And so we had the Florida International Audio Expo. This is a fantastic show. And I'll tell you why it's so cool. The owner of the show asked me to begin with, he was a little worried. He's going, "Dave, do you think there's room for another show? Do you think anybody's going to come to the show?" And I'm going, "Absolutely. It's going to be a fantastic show, and it's going to grow faster than other shows." And he said, "Why do you think that?" I'm going, "Okay, it's Florida and it's February. I mean, are you kidding me?" So just like I said, even the first year, I mean, people from the north all booked down and did this show, and of course it got bigger the next year, the next year, the next year. Now it's at a new venue, which I unfortunately didn't get to go to because I just had shoulder surgery a couple of weeks ago, and my wife and doctor forbid me to go. They were going, there's no way you're going to go to this thing. In fact, you can't travel for quite some time. Well, at the same time, my very favorite show that I go to. I mean, really, it's just such a fun show. It's my favorite small show that I go to. It's the Bristol show, and so in Bristol, UK, we just did this show. Now I couldn't make it, but I've got such great team members. My boss, Dan Macta, who is he's the managing director of Qobuz US, Canada, UK, the Nordics, Australia, New Zealand. So we've got a pretty big territory, and Dan's always got a lot to do. So he says, Dave, don't worry about it. He said, I'll do the Bristol show for you. So my team in France and Dan did the UK show. I'd like to thank everyone who was a part of that. But this is such a fun show. It's in the Bristol, UK, and it's almost like you would imagine a show like that being full of British gear, full of British guys. They're all sitting around having pints. It's just a ton of fun. Put on by a company called Audio T in the UK. It's a really cool retailer there, and they've been putting the show on for absolute years. Every single year, there's a line around the building to get in, which is saying something because it's February in the UK, so it's not like it's real balmy. And then we also had at the same time Can Jam in New York, where a couple more of my team members went to go and interact with the people that are doing all of the headphone stuff. So we had 3 shows going on simultaneously, and a team that is just ready to go. They all did a great job, and I'm super proud of everyone. The next one's coming up in a couple of weeks. It's called the Southwest Audio Fest. This is a pretty new show, but they're getting these shows are going all over the country. The Southwest Audio Show is going to be March 21st through 25th. So really, you got time if you want to try to plan on going. Fairly new show. But it's run by a couple of really, really great guys. One of the guys owns and we'll talk about this in a second, owns the Capital Audio Fest, and the other owns the Pacific Audio Fest. So both of those guys combined and opened up Southwest. And then just the weekend after that, I'll be in Montreal because I absolutely love to prolong winter. So in my area, March 28th through 30th means springtime. In Montreal, it does not mean that. However, as cold as it is outside, it's that warm inside. The people that run the show are absolutely wonderful people, Sarah and Michelle, and they every time they just go above and beyond the call of duty. So if you're in the area, that's typically going to be people in Montreal. But if you haven't seen the show, it's so much fun. It feels like family, and they make everybody just have a great time. The next show after that is the largest show in the United States. It's called Expona. There is absolutely, I like to see everyone at the show when I go. Hang it up. If you go to Expona, there's over 200 rooms. I think it's like 210, 220. But there's a lot of participation from the industry in Expona. The cool thing about most of these shows that I'm talking about is they started out as tiny little shows. I believe Expona started out with like 10 or 12 rooms for hobbyists, and it's absolutely grown. And now all the major manufacturers are there. And if you've got high-end gear, you're likely going to be showing it off at Expona. So yeah, that one is a really fun one. I'll be doing seminars at most of these shows. So be sure to check the schedule, and you'll see when you start going to these shows, you will see Qobuz logo everywhere. Now, the next one that I'll tell you about is my very favorite show in the world, period. There's nothing that compares to the show. Everybody would love to be the show, but it's high end in Munich, Germany. And this will be the last year it's at the MOC. It's that's the building that it's in, because that building is owned by BMW, and they're going to take what was formerly the most absolute wonderful convention place you could imagine for hi-fi, because the rooms actually sounded really good, and they were big enough that they could sound good, and they were stable enough that they could sound good. That's going away. So this will be the last year. If you've never gone to high end in Munich, try to make plans to go this year, because it has been I've been going, I don't know, for maybe 15, 20 years now, and I don't have no idea how many booths and rooms they have, but it's another one kind of like Expono. There's no way you're seeing everything, but you will see the actual owners and engineers and personnel from the companies, not necessarily just the distributors or the people that sell the gear. So Munich is a wonderful place to go meet people and to be in Munich, which is just an awesome place, and then really be able to see some of the best gear in the world. Munich has really taken the place of CES. CES used to be where you would debut your very best hi-fi or high-end audio gear. Not anymore. There's only a few companies that go to CES these days. If you're going to really make a big splash, Munich is the place to make the big splash. I think the last one I'll talk about is Audio Fest in October, which is going to be in Toronto. That's always a lot of fun. And again, run by the same people, Sarah and Michelle, and they just do a wonderful job. And it feels just as much family as the Montreal show does. So it's really more, I think, it's a group thing as opposed to a location thing. In fact, I'm trying to get some of the shows to copy some of the things that Michelle and Sarah do that make it so cool from their show. I'm trying to get them to copy a few little things. So we'll see how that goes. So hey, I'm gonna go over 3 or 4 products because Jane said, Dave, we're talking about all this stuff. Let's talk about 3 or 4 products that have really made a big impact. So I'm going to tell you about 3 or 4 products. These are all streaming products, and that's not the way it's going to be for all of these shows. But hey, we're Qobuz. It's like, that's going to be the first thing. So the first product I'm going to talk to you about, I just got one of these, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's the WIM Pro Plus. I think Jane's got a picture of it. Yeah, this thing comes with a remote control, and I'm going, why would I ever use a remote control with a streamer? I've got my phone that I'm doing the controls with. I got to tell you, it's the first time I've used a remote with a streamer, and it's nice being able to pick up the remote and just hitting pause or fast forward or fast rewind, as opposed to picking up your phone, open it, get the FaceTime to go, and then you start going. It's just such a quick little thing, but it's only $219. Now, these guys have been the most disruptive streaming company that's I think probably ever. They're starting out at about $80. And if you're wanting to stick your toe into streaming, this is a great way to do it because they just don't cost a lot of money. So they've got like this $80 piece it's okay. I think there's another one out for about $150. That's the one I would go for it. But if you think about it, that's still like 4 times cheaper than a Sonos. And instead of being limited to 1648, this thing will do up to, well, this particular one I think will do 32,384. But even the lower one, the one for 159, it will do 24 192-bit perfect. So making it there's no comparison to the deal that you get on this stuff. And so when I say this has been disruptive, it has been totally disruptive to the bottom of the market. the people that were selling what used to be the bottom of the market, which was $500, $600, $700. Now the bottom of the market is about 80. These guys have done a fantastic job, and they are currently in our beta test for Qobuz for Qobuz Connect. The next one up is I believe it's the Ever Solo. Yeah, this is the DMP A6. This one has been another pretty heavy disruptor. And I'm thinking it's a little more than that. But at any rate, the Ever Solo is a fantastic streamer. And like Hi-Fi Rose and some of the other companies, these guys are really big into that front display that you can change things with. Honestly, I got to tell you, I just like the way it looks. It really doesn't enhance the performance at all, but I really do like the screen up there. And then you can change it to show VU meters and kind of make it, kind of funky like that. And then you can also take an HDMI out, run it to your TV, and you can see on your TV what you're playing, which I thought was going to be a really, really cool feature. And I did it for, I don't know, the first 2 or 3 times, and I'm going, I know what I'm playing. I don't need to see it on my TV screen, but some people like to see it. It's just kind of part of the art. So at any rate, it does DSD and PCM. So this would be a perfect little streamer to get if you're just hopping into the DSD side of things. By the way, I should have told you, if you are going to download our DSD gear, DSD cuts, make sure that your DAC can actually play back DSD. It's a fairly specialized thing, and some can't do it. So yeah, that's the Ever Solo. Next up is one that I've had for really since it came out, and it's the Hi-Fi Rose RS150B. This is a fantastic little unit, and it was one of the first. I think this was probably the first disruptor. Oh, did I miss one? I sure did. I'm sorry. I missed the Cambridge. Yeah, sorry. I missed the Cambridge Audio EVO 150. This is another one that's just recently been released, and it is it's getting a lot of reviews on it. They go for about $3,000, and they have redone everything in there. Everything that they do, Cambridge does in-house, using ESS DACs. They got XLR output. So if you want to drive, whatever even input, or you can actually use this as a preamp, perfect for that. Next one up is the other one that I've got, which is the Hi-Fi Rose RS150. And this one goes for about $5,000, and they have got streamers starting at about $2,000, and those are the ones that started the big disruption. But Hi-Fi Rose has made a huge name for themselves, and they continue to innovate. They've come out with a bunch of streamers that are like this, all front panel things that you can do all the switching and whatnot right from there, or use the remote control. And I have really, really enjoyed mine. It's never given me 1 second's problem, and I've taken this baby to task. And I didn't mention before, but the Ever Solo, they're also on our beta list for Connect. So if you've got one of those, you might want to hop off. Now, these are kind of the moderate streamers, right? But I wanted to show you one that just came out. I happen to own a streamer from this company called it's DCS. The one that I've got is called a Bartok, and it is like for at least me, it's the biggest streamer that I could ever justify, and I really can't even justify it because it's a little over $20,000. And it has the original ring DAC in it. This is the new DCS Varsis, and this thing is going for over $200,000. So if you are one that like cost is no object, You might want to look at the DCS. It sounds incredible. I was just down at a really cool dealer in Atlanta called Evolution. A guy named Scott Campbell brought this in for his store to play on a big Wilson Dandy Agostino DCS stack. That's kind of like the Hi-Fi Mafia, right? And so, I mean, I walk in and I hear this stack and I'm going, you just have never heard anything quite like it. But yeah, if you just are curious and you want to go, what is the best of the best of the best sound like? The only place you're going to hear is probably going to be one of these shows, but there'll probably be several there. So that kind of concludes our several players that I thought you might enjoy knowing a little bit about. There's reviews on all of these that take you into some depth. So I've just about finished my section of it, but I'm so ADD. There's no way I can like look at many questions or comments while I'm talking to you because I've got something in mind. But now I will. Let's see. Would you please provide provenance information for your albums? It's extremely hard to tell which versions you were selling. Yeah, here's the thing about metadata. We throw out what comes in. Hopefully one day we'll actually have time to go back into individual tracks and do this, but right now we don't. So I would love to know provenance as well, but it's provenance as well. But right now it's just, we're taking what we get from the labels. What ends up happening, just so you know, it's not like somebody's there with a CD burning in or an SACD burning into our hard drive. It's like we get sent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of cuts or thousands of cuts, and they're all pretty much batch loaded. If we were to take the time, like any of the services, to look at every single one and correct them, we'd never have anything up. So I think the most important thing is making sure that we have things up there, making sure it's labeled correctly, and even some of that's wrong. But whenever we find something that's labeled wrong, we just tell the team about it, and they're right on it. By the way, if you're not a member of the Qobuz Club, that's such a great place to report missing information or bad information or that kind of thing. These guys are very, very helpful there, and you got a whole team that looks at it. I run a Qobuz fan site called Streaming Music Matters, and frequently I'll get asked questions there. I'm not on it every day because I just don't have time to do it. So people have questions that sometimes linger. I really don't like to do that. So go to a place where a lot of us hang out, which is the Qobuz Club. It's a fantastic place for music lovers. And instead, here's what I really like about it. You pick out any genre that you want, and it's right there for you to see. And you can see every single thing that's, say, in the blues category, everything that people have playlists and albums and that kind of thing, to where on like Streaming Music Matters, it's just all kind of mixed up. Yeah, somebody will recommend a jazz album, somebody will recommend a pop album, somebody will recommend another pop album, and then a electronic album. And so it's just kind of it's just a fan base club that people come to, at least Streaming Music Matters, to find stuff kind of like right away. But if you're really into the deep dive, hop into the Qobuz Club, because not only will you find a lot about music, but you find a lot about the gear and the way that we do things. And there's a lot of Qobuz people there so they can help answer some of your questions. Great question. Thank you so much for that. Tim, love high. Oh, I guess I could show these. Oh, thank you, Tim. Great. Let's see. Yeah, you can. I've done. I had a buddy of mine build me a little Pi, and I've just got it running off a little, I don't know, a little $300 or $400 DAC, and the thing works fantastic. You can see it. Rune sees it, and they do. They work great. But really, if you think about it, every streamer that you got, they're all computers. They're just computers that are really, really limited. And then these days, it's not like the cheapest way to do it anymore. When I did mine, I think the cheapest streamer out there was about $500 or $600 that did full bit, high resolution. And so I think I built this thing for 150, $200. Well, now you could just go out and get a whim for that, and there's no reason to really do it. So things just like in the 50s and 60s when hi-fi was coming up and people were, soldering cables and flipping tubes and stuff like that. And all of a sudden it just started becoming easier because the manufacturers were doing it for you. Same way with streaming. They're all getting into it. Thank you. Hey, Phil, how are you doing? Good to see you, buddy. Let's see. How about the show? We don't do the show. We may one day, but we're not doing it right now. Let's see. DMP8, very happy with it. I just ordered one, so hopefully mine will be here very soon. Okay, here's some great news. Need Qobuz on Denon and Marantz. I could not agree more. Denon and Marantz and Hios are going to be one of the very first Connect customers. So all of your Hios stuff, if Hios is in Denon and Marantz, and then they've got standalone Hios, and I believe it's in some more products as well. That'll all, when Qobuz Connect is launched, those will all be good. Let's see. C-Man, please contact Sir. They'll be able to help. Oh, sorry. That's from Qobuz. Great. Let's see if I've got one more. I did contact them. Great. All right. I think that's kind of the questions, at least that I've got. I'm sure there's probably some more up there, but I've taken up like about 10 minutes longer than I was planning on even being here with you guys. I hope this has been helpful. I hope it's been interesting. This show is absolutely for you guys. We can talk about a multitude of subjects. We can have guests on. We can kind of make this what you want it to be. But this section is going to be around hi-fi in general. So if there's something that you want to see, write us on the Qobuz Club and throw out some suggestions. We want to do what you want us to do. We want to do what's going to be the most meaningful for you. So we had a little bit of that kind of stuff today, just showing you a little bit about what's new about Qobuz and some of the streamers that we recommend and some of the shows that we recommend going to. I hope that's been helpful to you. And we just appreciate you guys all being here. We certainly appreciate you being part of Qobuz. I hate to be so cliche, but it's true. You are the very best part of Qobuz, and we all appreciate you. Our folks in France are always talking about how can we make the experience better, and they work on it every single day, except perhaps June or July when most people are on vacation in that part of the world. Outside of that, these guys they're right there. So, Guy, thank you very much for joining, and we will let you know when the next Qobuz Live on the Qobuz Club is going to be. Take care, and we'll see you next time.